We're getting the toss result right now.
True,
Bangladesh have won.
That,
the Bangladesh have won the toss. They've decided to bowl first, is what I'm getting to know. Respond to that.
Obviously, I mean, you just mentioned about
this
could well be a rain-affected game, so you would want to chase down. Even though right through this tournament, chasing hasn't been that successful. But having said that, rain-affected, you would want to chase down, and also the fact that last game, the game, Netherlands won chasing. So yeah, it's a good toss to win for Bangladesh. Handles this whole batting first issue right now, where there is this rain scare looming large.
So, Banipaji, what do you think is the total that India would target? And the pressure will once again be on the opening Indian batsman.
See, it's very important when you're playing on surfaces like this, even though the Adelaide pitch is a very good one for batting. But, if you set a bigger target in your mind, then you probably get out for 133, because against South Africa also, I thought that the Indians were thinking 150, 160, and they got out for 133. If they had thought about 140, 145, probably they would have got to 150, 155. And Deep said that 150, 155 could be a winning total. So you've got to see the pitches, how the pitches are behaving. According to that, you start formulating your, that what you need to do, what is the score you need. I would think on this surface, which is going to be very good for batting, if we have a 20-over game, India should be thinking 160, 165. And if you think that, you could get to 180, which will be a winning total.
Yeah. I'm told that Rohit Sharma has said at the toss, Deep, that he would have batted first anyway. Why do you think?
Well, that's interesting. Maybe he's thinking on the lines that chasing hasn't been that easy so far. And also under lights, especially, we've seen chasing has been very difficult. And especially in these conditions under lights, it's cold, it's windy, it's kind of heavy atmosphere. So, the ball will swing around. And we've seen that right through this tournament under lights, the ball has done a lot more than usual. So maybe that was the thought process behind Rohit's decision. And maybe he knows something that we don't about the weather.
Yeah. All right. I have the playing 11 update as well. And Manipaji and I were discussing this earlier. Akshar Patel is indeed back in the side in place of Deepak Hooda. So already we've seen the end of the Deepak Hooda experiment. Manipaji?
Yeah, I see. If you're going to play as a batsman, then, in last match also, I thought that if you're going to play Deepak Hooda just as a batsman, then you might as well have Rishabh Pant there, because we've seen him score runs in Australia on those kind of pitches, the way he approaches the game. He's always in a very positive frame of mind. But probably, runs weren't enough, and the captain didn't have confidence to have Deepak Hooda having a couple of overs, because he could give you a good couple of overs. So if you're going to have Deepak Hooda just as a batsman, then I might as well have Akshar Patel, because he's shown us that he can score runs when required, and he's a good bowler. The best part about his bowling is he bowls wicket to wicket, and these days we've seen that you get so many LBWs if you're bowling wicket to wicket, and he gets you wickets whenever he's bowled. So I think that's a good choice.
Can I just say, they brought in Deepak Hooda in the last match, Deep, and eventually turned out he wasn't going to be bowling, or he didn't bowl, and it was just purely as a batsman. He was promoted up the order. I didn't think he should have played at that number, but anyways, he was promoted up the order, I think, according to me, and that also didn't work, and it wasn't, possibly, it would be unfair to criticize Deepak Hooda for that, but to be thrown in a match situation like that, in a big crunch game, I think you can't criticize him, not really having that many games coming in. But with Ravichandran Ashwin in the team, who I think is a pretty decent bat, right? In the shorter format, in the longer format, he's a proper hitter of the ball. He's not a pinch hitter. He's not a tail-ender hitter. Why do you even need to bolster your batting with an extra batsman? I didn't get that.
Well, while I completely agree, I mean, you've got to be a proper batter to score 5 test hundreds.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not a proper batter, you don't get test hundreds. So obviously, I mean, he's even in this format, I think he's a very underrated batter, Ashwin. So yes, while I do agree with that, but also I think Deepak Hooda or Akshar gives you that extra elbow room as a sixth bowling option if required. And obviously with Akshar, you would actually require him. You would want him to bowl. Well, it'll be interesting because there are quite a few left-handers in that batting order. If you look at Shanto and Shomo, both the openers are left-handers. middle order, you've got Afif, then you've got obviously Shakib himself. So in the top 5, top 6, Bangladesh, they have four left-handers. So it'll be interesting how how Rohit uses Aksar the bowler against all these left-handers, and also the fact that the square boundaries are very, very short here in Adelaide. And Maninder will vouch for it. And the straight boundaries are very long. I think they're 84 meters. The square boundaries are only 56 and 68, something like that. So obviously with spinners, it's easier to hit those square boundaries or smaller areas. So it'll be interesting to see how Rohit manages his bowlers.
Yeah. Let's discuss a little bit. We know the playing 11 for today, but there are a little bit of question marks on particularly 2 people in this batting lineup. One is, of course, opener KL Rahul. And the second is something we've been discussing since the start of the World Cup, Dinesh Karthik. Both are in the team, and I just want to quickly play out what Indian coach Rahul Dravid said when the question of KL Rahul was posed to him.
In these conditions, maybe we are able to afford him that time. And like I said, in the answer to the question, we completely back him. We have no concerns about him. We know that when he gets going, and I've seen it against Australia, against a top-class attack just a couple of weeks ago, I know the impact this guy can make. So, I think in Rohit and my mind is absolutely no doubt about who's going to open for us.
So another thumbs up for KL Rahul, quite like the last time when I said that it was a vociferous yes and a very clear answer that there's no question over KL Rahul's position and his batting position. So Deep, Maninder Paji has been saying that there seems to be a lack of belief in KL Rahul. But what I don't understand is where is that lack of belief coming from? Because the team is clearly backing him, and so very much so in public.
So this is my observation with KL. Those runs against Australia in the warm-up games, most of them square off the wicket. Now, if you see him back, I think is setting himself up to play the square boundaries, because obviously before you go to Australia, you prepare yourself and you're thinking what against quick bowling as an opener, I have to prepare myself for the back of length with a pace and bounce. And if you look at his back at now, it's a lot more open. It is kind of goes away from his body, which would help him play the wicket shots. And if you see how he's got out to balls which were fuller. And he's got out when his bat was coming down, the bat swing was diagonal. So all I'm going to say, if I was there and talking to KL, I would say, just go back to your usual self. Go back to what has made you so successful over the years across all formats. Don't worry about the Australian conditions. Don't worry about trying to hit square of the wicket more and bat the way you used to, and just go back to that. I mean, it's easier said than done because obviously he must have been preparing on those lines for a while now. But technically speaking and psychologically, I think this is what he's been trying to do. The inside edge, diagonal bat. The other day he got out, again diagonal bat. And diagonal bat will that's what it tells me, that he's looking to play those horizontal bat shots, and that's his game plan. I think he needs to change that game plan and get back to his usual self.
Yeah.
Sometimes what happens is technical issues, they come because you've got mental issues, because you don't really know what you want to do. The Rahul Dravids or the Paddy Uptons could be talking to him and telling him that, this is his role. But sometimes mentally you get blocked. And because of that, you get these technical issues that Deep is talking about. I think what he basically needs to do is he just has to score runs. He has to start thinking, how Virat Kohli bats, when he goes into bat, or how Hardik Pandya when he goes into bat. They're looking for runs. Surya Kumar Yadav, they're looking for runs. This is exactly what he needs to do. He can't think that, I'm going to first over or two, I'm going to stay there and then I'm going